For anybody who's never seen this face before, my name is Aquarius Wave. I like to consider myself as the self-love sensei. I gave myself that title, and I consider that an act of self-love, giving yourself a title when nobody else is going to. Now, I wanted to get into subject matter that is near and dear to my heart, just like most of the subjects connected to it, which is toxic relationships. Now, I don't necessarily focus on toxic relationships to keep people in a state of victimhood. I believe that the intention of the experiences in our life is for us to take that energy and turn it into something that brings more personal power towards us, that leads us deeper into our own journey of self-love. Therefore, I'm not speaking on this to simply leave you in a state where you feel more of a victim, where you feel as if you're more perpetrated, or you're staying in the same place that you were before you clicked on a specific video. I want to make sure that you leave with substance, that you leave with understanding, but most importantly, that you leave with a sense of hope and transformation, or at least that transformation is possible for you. Now, that being said, I have a list of 6 things that oftentimes indicate a toxic relationship that we usually overlook. So, number 1 is belittling. Now, if you don't know what belittling is, I'm not going to give you the Webster definition of it. I'm going to give you my own definition. I believe belittling is to essentially minimize something as far as, let's say, an accomplishment, to minimize an accomplishment, to minimize something that you see as important to you. When somebody takes something that is of importance and basically makes it as small as possible, that is the act of belittling. And you will oftentimes find this in toxic relationships where one individual is looking to have power over another. They're looking to manipulate them, having them feel as if they're not as important as they truly are. They want to chip away at your own self-esteem. Therefore, they will belittle your achievements. They'll belittle your actions. They belittle the things that you consistently do in and out of your life. Now, again, I apologize for this chair. It might have a few sounds, little tweaking sounds. We're going to work through that. Don't worry. We will get through this together. However, it's about the information, right? We'll be fine. Number 2 is pressuring. So, pressuring is, in essence, pressuring or pushing somebody to do something that they necessarily wouldn't have otherwise. Now, there's a difference between positive peer pressure and negative peer pressure. When somebody is positively pressuring you, it's actually challenging you, right? So there's a positive challenge somebody can bring in your life. Let's say you are afraid to take on that next business opportunity, and it could truly change your life. You might have friends that are going to challenge you into that. You might have a partner who's going to challenge you in that. But when you're in a toxic relationship, the pressure is oftentimes to do things that do not serve you, which means bad habits. So let's say you just stop smoking and drinking and you want to do that indefinitely. The person in that relationship would look at you and see you as somebody that they can only view from the perspective of your negative habits. Therefore, they want you doing those things in order for them to be able to manipulate you, right? An example is, I just stopped drinking and I tell my significant other that I'm done drinking. And all of a sudden, my significant other is now bringing alcohol to the house or asking if I want to go to the club or the bar that night, because they're trying to see if I will break my own promise in order for me to go back to the person that I used to be, or to go back to the version that no longer serves me. Number 3, undermining success. Now, this is a big one. It's, again, closely related to belittling, but it is specifically around success. Now, when you find yourself in situations where, let's say, you got a promotion in a certain company, or you just started a business venture, or maybe just something that is important to you, right? Like you made pancakes and they didn't burn for the first time, or you made pancakes and all of a sudden they're fluffy, right? Like me, that's an accomplishment for me. If I go and tell my partner I made amazing pancakes, hopefully at the very, very least, they're going to say, okay, that's cool. But some people will actually undermine your success. So they'll actually find a negative in something that is good. Let's say you just got the promotion or you just started a business. They'll basically say that, oh, that seems like it was pretty easy, or it doesn't seem like a big deal. Or some of them are a little more slick and basically turn it back to them and the things that they never got to experience in order for them to undermine what you are experiencing. They're always looking to take the attention away from you and back to themselves. Number 4, communicating with anger. Now, this isn't necessarily true for everybody who is in a toxic relationship. Some people know how to hide that anger and basically use passive aggressive communication styles. However, this specific type of individual only knows how to communicate from a state of wrath or anger. And they do it because they've used it their entire life as a way to manipulate the people around them. When they were kids, they probably threw temper tantrums and people listened. When they didn't, nobody listened. Therefore, they continued the temper tantrums. This specific behavior pattern will show itself or manifest in many different ways when you are in the dynamics of a toxic relationship. Sometimes it could be them, throwing things around the house, or just throwing a grown person fit around the house, a tantrum about small things, or when you're feeling some type of way, then all of a sudden they get extremely aggravated because they want to take the emotion or they want to occupy the emotional space of that room, right? So that's number 4, is communicating with anger. Number 5 is the hot and cold behavior. Now, there are some individuals who have specific personality types that they're not necessarily looking to be quote unquote toxic. What I'm speaking of when I speak of toxic is those individuals that are doing this with malicious intent. The individuals who are doing this as a means of, again, manipulation. Therefore, hot and cold behavior. When an individual is they're loving you, they're cherishing you, they're all over you one day, then all of a sudden they switch off completely. I'm not talking about, small little shifts. I'm talking about a huge dynamic shift where one day they are literally like, you're the apple of their eye. You're everything. You're the moon, the stars, the sun, the sky, the this, the that, July, right? Then the next day you're nobody to them, right? They're texting you all day one day, then the next day you get no response. They're calling you. They can't wait to see you. They're sending all kinds, and then all of a sudden it's gone, right? Now, again, when an individual is using this as a means of manipulation, they know that in order to keep you in a certain state of fight or flight, to keep you in a certain state of uncertainty and instability, they can use the tactic of cold and hot and cold again in order to keep you or to keep your attention. That is all they're looking for, is to have one up on you and to essentially keep your attention on them. Now, number 6 is watching content on manipulation. This one is a big one that, most might not actually catch until maybe later on in a relationship, unless you use your discernment. Listen to that inner voice. Allow your intuition to guide you. However, in most cases, this is, people who are watching specific dating advice. Like, let's say for myself, I fell into what they call the red pill. And I started taking that information and applying it in my life. And it was extremely toxic now that I look back, right? It did not serve the dynamics of healthy relationships. There's an equivalent of this for anybody, for men, women, etc. So for myself, I can now more easily see if somebody is using specific manipulation tactics because of the content that they watch. And this is something that I believe if you start to actually look out for, even pay close attention to, you can catch the signs early. If you see that they're using specific patterns of speech, or you see that specific people in your past have used those same patterns of speech or using the same tactics, you can probably guess that what they're watching is those types of content. And if they're afraid to share the type of content that they watch, outside of your relationship, that's something else. Now, this one I didn't add because I wanted to make this just a list of 6 quick ones. However, it's attached to number 6, which is the type of people around them, the conversations they entertain. Us as humans, we predominantly become as our environment is, right? And the more all-consuming our environment is, the more negative most environments are, the easier it is to fall into those environments. Which means when you have an individual who is in an environment of toxicity, they have friends who are out and about doing their thing, slanging it around, carefree, quote unquote, not living a life that is aligned with what you truly desire within your relationship dynamic, then that probably means that person is having the type of interactions or conversations that don't align with your relationship. Not saying that they're out there, cheating or doing anything of that nature. It's just saying that they're surrounded by an environment that is not adding or edifying them. Therefore, what business do they have in those relationships? What kind of conversations are they having on a day-to-day basis? You got to start asking yourself these questions in order for you to then make the conscious decision of whether or not you're going to continue to entertain a specific relationship dynamic. Now, these are all things that I believe can be talked about. You can talk to an individual about, anger. You can talk to them about how you feel about, them undermining your success, etc. But it is only up to you to make the decision to voice these things. And if they meet you with resistance, they meet you with with anger or defensiveness, then it is time for you to make a decision for yourself. Are you going to stay in that toxic dynamic, or are you going to allow yourself the freedom to live your own life with boundaries, with standards, and to allow the universe to bring somebody into your life who truly respects those boundaries and those standards, right? So again, these are the 6 specific signs, or sometimes covert signs, of a toxic relationship. Number 1 is belittling. Number 2 is pressuring, specifically around bad habits. Number 3 is undermining your successes. Number 4 is communicating with anger. Number 5 is hot and cold behavior. And number 6 is watching content on manipulation. Our extra little bonus in there was the company that they keep, the people around them, and the environment that they entertain. Now, hopefully this was extremely valuable to you, or at least valuable. And if it was, I want to let you know that I have recently put out a coaching program, which is also connected to a course around healing from a toxic relationship. If you're somebody who believes that you're truly ready for a transformation from that toxic relationship, I want to invite you right now at this very moment in time to join me in this coaching program. Now, I can only bring on specific people who are willing to actually truly transform, not those who are just interested, dabbling, but want to stay exactly where they are. I want a specific type of person. And if you are that type of person, I am leaving a link to book a call with me. Now, this is only going to be, again, limited spaces. I only have so much time in the day. So please, if you are serious about this, make sure to book your call to see if you are a right fit for the coaching program or maybe the course. So again, hopefully this was of extreme value to you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this and content about self-love, personal empowerment. And number 3 is living out your purpose.
I don't even love myself. How can I love you? I can even ask for help. How can I trust you? I know that I'm bad for help. I know that I'm full of myself. I never think about your problems. I'm a narcissist and I'm frail. I take you, use you, break you, shoot you, bring you back to confuse you, then tell you I can't lose you. I'm toxic and you know your heart's broke, you don't show. You strong and you try coping, but